All right, hey everyone, welcome back. Happy Wednesday, happy hump day. So Bitcoin didn't do too well today. It's flat more or less. I think it ended up in the green by the end of the day, so that was actually kind of good. Miners were mixed, somewhere in the green, somewhere in the red today. We'll talk about them as well. We'll look at some good news stories that we have on Bitcoin here. Bitcoin might actually get to 200,000 by the end of the year here based on the power law. We'll take a look at that. We have other adoption news as well for Bitcoin, the Genius Act as well. We'll talk about that. We also have news from BitDeer on their $300 million convertible note that they're doing. We'll talk about that. And we'll look at the miners as far as what do we have for the miners? Oh, network hash rate comparison to them. What is their market share of that? And then also the MNAV value for these guys right now based on what their HODL is as of May and things like that. So we'll look at all that and then get into Q&A. So it should be pretty easy. So let's get into it here. As always, not financial advice for anyone only. Do your own research as always. And then below is the full disclosure. Hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously. And let's get into what's going on here with the charts on Bitcoin. So Bitcoin today bounced below the 50-day simple moving average. We can see that here. We went down to a low of 103,512. We bounced from that and we closed at 104,915. So we were above the 50-day simple moving average, which is that kind of purplish line right here that you can see barely on it. We closed above it. We are now like right on it for the new day. We are at 104,640 as it is. So it's kind of staying above that, which is kind of nice to see. Definitely want to see it bounce from here going forward. Also, the Fed came out today that they are not changing the rates at all. So we still have the same rates, interest rates as before. They are cautious, obviously, of what's going on with everything in the economy, tariffs, all that stuff. They're still waiting to see how that's all going to play out. So we'll see if eventually we get any kind of rate cuts. I think that would be nice for Bitcoin. If we do get that coming up here, it would be pretty good for us for third quarter, maybe fourth quarter as well. But we'll have to wait and see how that's going to play out. Other than that, just Bitcoin's kind of in accumulation phase right now, it seems like. We'll look at the ETFs buying for Bitcoin here for yesterday and today as well. There's a huge buy yesterday. We'll talk about that one, which I was surprised by that because everybody else was pretty much selling, but somebody else was actually buying here, so that could be a good sign for us as well. And then the markets were kind of mixed today as well. Dow Jones was down, Nasdaq was up a little bit, and the S&P 500 was down just a little bit here. Miner-wise here, Bitfarms was down 1% roughly. BitDeer was down 7.13%. I wonder if it's that because of their convertible notes here. We'll talk about that as far as what they intend to use it for and things like that. You guys can definitely read all of it. I'm not going to get too deep into it. Cypher was up 3.53%. Cleanspark was up 3.15%. CORZ up just barely 0.08% here. Hive was flat on the day. Hut 8 was up 0.24%. IREN was up just a little bit as well, 0.31. Mara was actually down 1.23. Riot was down up 2.9, and Wolf was down 2.78 on the day. MicroStrategy was down just a little bit here, 1.64%. This thing also looks like it's in an accumulation phase right now, and it is bouncing off the 50-day simple moving average. We'll see if it stays above it or it falls below it. Coming up here, Coin was up nicely today, 16.32%. So that's nice. I wonder if that's, I'm not sure what's going on there with that one. I haven't seen any news stories on it. Let's see, Coinbase Global shares jumped 13% to seeking approval for tokenized stock trading. Okay. The stock surged 16%, becoming the top S&P 500 gainer and amid stablecoin regulation news. All right, interesting. So that's good news there. On Coinbase, let's see here, Metaplanet was up another 1.1% today as it was. Semler was up 11.95%, so that one's starting to bounce back up here a little bit. And then the blockchain group here was down today a little bit, 4.2%. Jimmy was up a little bit, 1.96%. Small miners were down for the most part, except for Argo being up just slightly, 0.69% on that one. Bitcoin ETFs were in the green, at least 2%, 4%, and WGMI was just up barely, 0.11% on that one. And what else do we have here? CoreWeave was down a little bit. Griffin was down 7.5%, and that's about it. So that's the way things have played out for the markets today. But Bitcoin and Bitcoin miners, looking at where Bitcoin is right now for the month of June here, we're up just a little bit, 0.23%. Nothing major here happening right now. We need a pump. I want a pump. I'm sure you guys want a pump as well. But will we get that by the end of the month here? Who knows? We'll find out. This is interesting here. So yesterday we talked about the Bitcoin ETF inflows, right? We saw a lot of them being sold out, 208 million, 22 million, 191 million here. Those were from Fidelity, Bitwise, and ARK, signed quite a bit there. And also, we didn't have the data for BlackRock yet. BlackRock bought 639 million. It is their biggest buy here that they've had here in a number of days. So as Bitcoin price was going down, these guys who investors that are in BlackRock and buying it, they are buying like crazy, which is nice because we still had a positive inflow here of 216 million based on that. So a little surprising there, right? I thought we were going to be in a negative day for yesterday, but it turned out to be a good day nonetheless. So who's selling out? I think it's just retail. Retail is, I don't know whether they're panicking or what, or whatever's going on there, but man, do not sell your Bitcoin to these guys. Let them ride the price up higher. Okay, so there's that. Right now we're looking at, for today being positive. We'll see where BlackRock comes in tomorrow on that one. And then let's get into the good news that we do have here on Bitcoin here. The first one's going to be on the power law here. So the Bitcoin power law curve cycle cloud predicts a peak of around 200,000 by the end of 2025 here. Let's see if I can maybe go full screen on this. That way you guys can see it properly. So what they're talking about here is this 4-year cycle mean on this, which is this line right here. So if you look by the end of it, we're looking at roughly around maybe 210,000, something like that would be the average, basically the mean for the cycle here. By the end here, we could go up much higher. If you look at the 4-year cycles minimum maximum, we could go up to close to 300,000 as well, depending where we end up there. So that's kind of what we're looking at. So this kind of goes coincide with what I also think is going to happen here, not only by the power law, but also on the supply side of things with Bitcoin and everything else. I think we're going to be going up to, above 150,000 to like 200,000 as well. We could go even higher than that, but that's trying to be a little bit conservative on that estimate at least. So this would be great if it plays out that way. And there's a video for you guys can watch that as well. You can see where that is from as well. All right, so that's kind of good. We'll see what happens with that. And then Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said crypto is not a threat to the dollar. In fact, stablecoins can reinforce dollar supremacy. Digital assets are one of the most important phenomena in the world right now, yet they have been ignored by national governments for far too long. This administration is committed to establishing the United States as a hub for digital asset innovation, and the Genius Act moves us one step closer to that goal. So that is huge, right? And we're seeing, obviously, Coinbase bouncing on that a little bit as well. It still has to go to the House here. It got passed in the Senate. And then President Trump here, or I think this was David Sachs retweeted, President Trump here tweet on it as well. David Sachs says, "Thank you, President, for delivering on your promise to make the U.S. the crypto capital of the world." With the plan, basically, I think this is great, right? We need innovation to be happening here in the United States. We need to be the front runners. We need to be the leaders in this type of space. And Donald Trump here posted this as well. The Senate just passed an incredible bill that is going to make America the undisputed leader in digital assets. Nobody will do it better. It is pure genius. Digital assets are the future, and our nation is going to own it. We are talking about massive investment and big innovation. The House will hopefully move lightning fast and pass a clean Genius Act, meaning that it doesn't want anything added to it, which I would agree there. Get it to my desk ASAP, no delays, no add-ons. I'd love to see that happen as well. This is American brilliance at its best, and we are going to show the world how to win with digital assets like never before. So I agree with the president there and the administration there. We need to get this done. This would be really, really nice for us to get this passed as well. It definitely puts out a lot of clarity in the market and moves us forward as well. So I love seeing that. There's some things that I don't agree with the administration, but this one I agree on. I agree with them also on the power thing. We need more nuclear power plants, and hopefully we'll get that going here in the next couple of years. Okay, so this is great news there. Next here is some adoption news here. So just in healthcare firm Prenetics buys 20 million worth of Bitcoin and adopts Bitcoin treasury strategy. Another company. I mean, I probably should have like a list. I'm sure there's a website that keeps track of all of these guys that are hodling here. And that list is just growing day in and day out. We're seeing more and more companies being added probably to that list as we're seeing adoption happening and companies are putting it on their balance sheet here. So this is great to see. This is from Sue Ennis from Hut 8 here. I thought this was great here. She posted this as well, or reposted this. But it says the Department of Energy announces start of a new pilot program to expedite the testing of advanced nuclear reactor designs under DOE authority outside of the national laboratories. So that's interesting. This creates an alternative regulatory pathway that bypasses the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, NRC, for testing purposes, one of the main camps seen as a barrier to approvals for new reactors and new reactor designs. All right, so this is bullish, right? We definitely need to speed the process up there. We want to make sure it's safe, obviously, but we want to speed up the process as well. We can't have too many roadblocks in order for us to do energy independence and grow the energy that we're going to need in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years and beyond, as like I've said before. AI is going to need a lot of energy. Robotics are going to need a lot of energy. Driverless cars are going to need a lot of energy as well. All of this stuff is going to need a lot of energy, and we're going to need it. So we need to get things moving forward here. Get rid of the roadblocks. Get rid of the, all the regulation. Well, I would say get rid of all the regulations, but at least make it meaningful regulation that actually has an impact on it positively, not negatively, so we can move forward on this. So I love seeing that as well. Next here, let's get into BitDeer really quick, and then we'll get into some of the stats that I have on the miners as well. So BitDeer announced, I think this was the day prior, and then I kind of updated it as well today because it got upsized here. So BitDeer announces pricing of upsized 330 million convertible senior notes offering. They do bear a 4.875 convertible amount principal, 4.875 there. Notes are due in 2031 here. You guys can read the rest of this stuff as always. There's a lot of legalese here and stuff that they're talking about there. But down here I highlighted some things. Use of proceeds here. So this is, I always like to look at that. The company intends to use approximately 130 million roughly of the net proceeds from the offering to pay the cost of zero strike call options transactions described below. Those are down here. You can read those. Approximately 36.1 million of the net proceeds from the offering to pay the cash consideration for the current note exchange transaction that it has entered into as described below as well. And then the remaining proceeds from the offering for data set expansion, ASIC-based mining, rig development, and manufacture, as well as working capital and other general corporate purposes here. So roughly right off the bat, they're losing 170 million for all this stuff. So zero strike call option transaction. How does that work? And you can read it here. Options expire, concurrent note exchange transaction, concurrently with the pricing of the notes and the offering, the company entered into a privately negotiated transaction with certain holders of its 8.5% convertible senior notes due 2029. They exchanged for approximately 36.1 million in cash and approximately 8.1 million in Class A ordinary shares. So approximately 75.7 million aggregate principal amount of its August 2029 notes on terms negotiated with such holders. Each note of this press release is not an offer to exchange the August. Okay, so that's kind of what's going on there with it. Definitely a lot of moving parts in it as well. And I'm guessing the reaction that we saw from the stock today, maybe it was because of that. We can see it here, BitDeer being down 7.13%, and it has been coming down. I mean, it reached 1623 here on May 20th. This was basically May 21st, sorry. So almost a month ago. So roughly, what is it, 20-some trading days or more or less. And it's come down quite a bit here from there. I'm not sure what's going on with this one. It's down 30% here, while some other miners have actually been doing better. So surprising to see that. Maybe it's just getting a little bit of a correction here, a little pullback, accumulation again, and then it'll go back up higher for us as it is. But we'll see. All right, so that's it on that one. We talked about the BitDeer. We talked about everything else that's going on here. Let's take a look at some of the network hash rate for miners. What is their market share on the current network as it is? So I did remove Hut8 and Bitfarms as they're not providing us with any market updates here. So the numbers would be actually a little bit higher here if they were still included. So they all came down a little bit from what you guys have seen in the past at least, okay? Bitcoin network hash rate, we got up to about 900 exahash by the end of May here. That's the 30-day average on that one. Total, this is the miners that I currently track, right, which includes well, all the miners except for Hut8 and Bitfarms right now. I'm still including IREN, or not IREN, CORZ Scientific in there as well. We'll see what kind of updates we get from them on that portion of it at least. But they're at 234 exahash of that as it is right now. The network hash rate increased 28, almost 29 exahash in the month of May. Miners increased 11.65 exahash for the month here. And then currently the miners that I track account for 26.1%. If I had also Bitfarms in there and Hut8, it would have been like 29 point something exahash, which would have been close to their previous high here, which it was, well, now it's showing 26.4, but it was like 29.46. I can't remember exactly what it was, but they were pretty close to it, like within 0.1% of that as it is. So they're still gaining market share there as well. We do see it from time to time where they do dip a little bit before they start rebounding again on that one. Excuse me. Month-over-month percentage increase here. The miners increased by 5.2% overall on that one. And when we look at the miners' hash rate market share increase or decrease month over month, basically. On that one, we can see that BitDeer increased their market share by 0.06%. Cypher lost 0.06% there. Cleanspark rose by 0.12%. Core lost by 0.1%. Hive had a nice increase here, 0.36% increase. Month over month, IREN was down 0.1, and Mar was down 0.2, and Riot was up 0.0036, just a little bit there for them. Okay, so that's how that's playing out right now in the market share. The good thing is miners continue to do well as far as gaining more and more market share from other non-public miners, other private miners, whatever it might be, nation states, whatever it might be. They continue to increase that over time. Yes, it does flow up and down, but in the longer time frame, when you look at it, it does continue to increase here going forward. We still have Cleanspark installing quite a bit here later on this year. IREN as well. Well, in this month alone, we should have like 20 exahash from those guys combined alone being added to the network here. Mara's continuing to grow. Riot, I think, is paused for the time being. Cypher is going to have some more growth happening here as well. Hive as well is going to grow. And then who else do we have there? BitDeer as well should grow. So we should see more growth here happening in the next couple months, I think, from those guys as well. All right, so there's that. Next, let's take a look at the MNAV on these guys here. Again, I took out Hot 8 and Bitfarms out of here. They don't provide their monthly updates anymore, so we don't know where their HODL is right now. But here's what we have. So we look at each of the companies: BitDeer, Cypher, Cleanspark, Core, Hive, Marathon, and Riot. We look at the current share price, number of shares, market cap, currently HODL value, and then market cap divided by HODL, basically. So you're getting multiple there on it. Total assets, BTC as an asset, total liabilities as last reported, net assets, HODL, all that stuff, current assets with HODL. So here's what we got. Based on all that information here, excuse me, if you look at the MNAV down below here, BitDeer is getting a 2.39 MNAV basically on their HODL. Cypher 1.8%, Cleanspark 1.09%, Core is negative because they have a lot of liabilities there, 1.8 roughly. Hive 1.15, Marathon 1.03, and Riot 1.05. So you can see that some of these guys are definitely not getting a premium on their HODL position as it is right now. Some others are. Right, Cypher and like BitDeer are getting a pretty nice premium there as it is, while Cleanspark, I would say, Marathon and even Riot, not so much. I would even say Hive as well at this point. Okay. So, like looking at that as well, tomorrow we'll take a look at the FASB impact. We only have data for April and May right now as far as what their contribution was to their HODL position each month was. So we're still waiting on June, which will give us a much clearer picture as far as what their impact is going to be right now. But right now it's looking pretty good. Based on what I saw today, what is it? Marathon's going to have about $1 billion impact to their bottom line for Q2. Cleanspark's looking like 200 some odd million there, roughly. I think Riot's going to be roughly about, I have to look at it, also around 300 million or something like that. So that's going to definitely help those guys out. But we'll take a look at it when we get closer towards maybe the end of the month, or we might take a look at it actually after the month once they provide the production updates for June. We'll get the HODL figures for them at that point. All right, but that's it. Let's get into Q&A here. We'll call it a day. Well, it's going to be pretty short and sweet here on that one. So let's get into that. As always, spreadsheets available to my Patreon members. I greatly appreciate the support that you guys give me there, along with YouTube members here. That's available down in the description for it if you want to join. The link is there as well. All right, that's my sales pitch. Let's get into it here with Q&A. As always, if you guys could preface the questions with a question mark or Q, greatly appreciate it. And I don't see too many questions here, so we might actually finish this up pretty well. All right, Metaplan says, Powell is disgraceful. He's playing politics. Possibly. I don't know the guy too well, so I don't know if he's right-leaning or left-leaning. Regardless, the economy's doing pretty good here, so I would have thought that he would have lowered the interest rates as well. So maybe he will in time. We'll see. All right. What else we got here? Yellow says, Riot sold another 2 million shares today of Bitfarms, I'm guessing you're saying there. Yeah, not surprised about that. I always got a question here. Seb, Cleanspark is getting to 50 exahash this month. They have a power path to 60 exahash, I believe. Did they provide any other update on exahash targets or other things? I think they've mentioned 57 or 58 and beyond is what they stated, something like that is their target there. So I think they can get it to 60 exahash, maybe even more, as things provide here, because they could buy a site, they could buy something else. I think they're going to try to get to like maybe 70 exahash by the end of the year here. But we'll see. yeah, I think that might be nicely doable here. How much of the question here again? Cleanspark has become non-dilutive and is stacking about half of the production 300 BTC per month. Do you think they should start being valued as BTC treasury company? I wish they announced buybacks. Should they? I mean, they're not really. Well, they are somewhat of a treasury company, but they're not buying Bitcoin, right? Which is good. I don't really like the miners buying Bitcoin. I like them to be producing Bitcoin, getting to scale, things like that. But yeah, I mean, I think they're way undervalued as it is right now. I mean, Marathon has a huge hodl, right? 50,000 roughly Bitcoin, and it's not being valued that well. It should be valued like double where it is right now, just based on the hodl, based on the operations, asset, everything else. Okay, yeah, take out the debt that they have there for the convertible notes, but those are not due until for another 2 years. So maybe more than that, actually. I think those are due like 2030 or something like that. So we still have another 4.5 years roughly before those things come due. So it is what it is, though. All right. Another question from Omar here. We are still selling miners by the end of Q4, right? No matter what. Well, I'm going to be taking profits probably. If we get up to nicely with Bitcoin with 150,000, 200,000, whatever it might be, at that point, wherever the miners are, I may start taking profits. Even if this is going to be an extended cycle. If it is an extended cycle, I may have to play these waves with the miners. Right? I talked about it yesterday as well. Because the miners right now, when Bitcoin goes into consolidation or a correction phase, the miners go down, 60, 70%. So that doesn't make any sense holding them that long. So we may try to swing trade these. Bitcoin gets up to 150,000, maybe sell a portion, see where that goes, see if we, come back down 30% from that, and then go up to 180,000, 200,000, and then, try to ride it back up. So we'll try that strategy going forward here, maybe, instead of just holding on to them while we go through this roller coaster ride and not see much action on the miners. We'll see. We'll have to keep an eye on. All right, Laser Beam, how you doing here? Question, I think it's a matter of Q3 numbers to get the miners to finally start catching a bid. I don't know if it's Q3. I think it might be Q2. Q2 should be pretty good for them as well. Like I said, a lot of these guys with the FSB impact should be positive on it. Mara's going to have $1 billion increase. Some of these other guys are going to have $200, $300 million increase as well on their sheets. So that should be good for them. And as Bitcoin just needs to go up, right? So it doesn't really matter. We need Bitcoin to go up in order for these guys to go up as well. And it's definitely been a rough ride, I would agree. All right. Based on the field, do you think we are going to war or fake out? I don't think it's going to be a full blown out war. I think if anything, we might bomb a couple sites and call it a day. That would be like ideal. Ideal would be just to give the bombs that Israel needs and let them do it, right? Keep us out of it completely. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see and now how that's going to play out. I know that a lot of the manga base is not for it. But there's things that we don't know that they know. Hopefully they make the right decision. Hopefully it's not one of those things where we had with the previous, going back to Bush and they're not so accurate accounts. All right, let's go here to yellow. All right, why do you think the miners with HODL do not get value like MicroStrategy in terms of HODL premium? Miners, I think, were the play to be in last cycle. Right now we're seeing MicroStrategy, MetaPlanet seem to be like the plays to be in this cycle. It's kind of like a rotation. Could we rotate back into the miners here later on? Yeah, I think so. I was watching a video that someone recommended on our private Discord server for the Patreon members there. It was Luca, and I'm drawing the other person's handle blank. I'm just blanking it out as far as what it was. It was a little bit long. I can't remember it. But they were talking about the macroeconomics and the comparison between the miners and like the Russell 2000. So small caps, right? How have that performed against like the S&P 500, all that stuff. And they seem to think that we will have a rotation back into like the small caps stocks where they will go back up here possibly in the next, several months to half a year, whatever it might be, where those things will pop up. And so I think that's going to also happen here. We've just been beaten down so much, but we need Bitcoin to go up, I think. But that's just my thoughts on it here. Okay, talked about that one. Nick question has, hi Sebastian, how you doing? Do you see the miners with 1 foot in AI holding up better during the BTC correction phase? I would think so, especially if they have substantial deals. Like Core Scientific has a substantial deal. Wolf has a nice deal as well. Who else? Galaxy, right, has a great deal with Core. They're applied. I mean, Galaxy, I don't think they're mining anymore. They might be still a little bit, but Core, I would think, would hold up very well because just a regular income that they're going to be getting from CoreWeave. So I would think they would hold up better. They may not drop as much. I would think, but we'll have to wait and see on that because we haven't seen that play out yet. I mean, we saw it play out a little bit here, but they weren't getting the revenue recently. So if you look at the beginning of the year to where we are now, we had a correction on Bitcoin, right? But the miners still went down 67%. Even Core did the same thing, but they're still not getting the revenue from CoreWeave yet. So that should start happening. June, I think, is when they're supposed to start getting some revenue, and then it's supposed to progress going forward into the end of the year here. So once that full value is unlocked there, I think that might put a little stop in the volatility maybe compared to volatility with Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin goes way down, they shouldn't go twice down that much, I would think. Okay, that's kind of the way I would think, but we'll see. Almost got a question here. Did you hear about the Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz interview? Amazing. I love Tucker. Yeah, I saw that. I didn't see the full interview. I saw clips of it right now. I don't know if I love Tucker. I get what he's doing. There's some things that I think he's just off the wall on, and some things I agree with him on. Right, just like everything else. It's nothing that's black and white. There's also always a bunch of shades of gray in everything. But I love the fact that he's, asking the questions, asking sometimes the tough questions too. But some things I just disagree with him 100%. Omar says it was there in queue. It was Luca and Cantonese Cat. It was a good video. I agree. Yeah, it was a great video. I watched it. So thank you for the recommendation there. If it was you or somebody else. All right. How high do you see the total cryptocurrency market cap going? I mean, Bitcoin right now is at what? 1.8, almost $2 trillion, I think, whatever it is right now. I think the total market cap is going to be going up higher than that. I mean, Bitcoin doubles from where it's at right now. We're looking at Bitcoin itself being just 3.6, almost $4 trillion. So we could go definitely much higher from where we are right now. But as far as, you got all the altcoins, the crap coins in there as well. I mean, I don't know where those things stand as far as market cap is concerned. The big thing that I keep an eye on is Bitcoin and a little bit of Ethereum as well. See where that goes. All right. Let's see. I think that's it. I don't see. Yeah, we talked about that. I think we've all come to the questions here. I think we're going to call it a day. Tomorrow's another day. As long as we'll live to talk about it, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about whatever happens tomorrow, anything else, and miners. We'll see what happens with the miners and things like that. All right. That's it. That's all I got for you guys. I appreciate you guys coming as always. Love you all. Hope you guys have a great rest of the week. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great night. All right. Bye.